Hot take, Pluto sucks. Pluto has a special place in many people's hearts as the 9th planet, but not me. In my heart, Pluto is just an overglorified, morbidly obese asteroid. And my number one op. There's 3 requirements to make a planet, according to NASA. Number 1, you gotta orbit a star. Okay, I will confess, Pluto does do that, but it kinda sucks at it. It's like the most uncoordinated, undesirable, unrespectable orbit I've ever seen. And that's partially why we discovered it. In the early 20th century, scientists noticed Neptune kinda had a weird orbit. It seemed like something was tugging on it right around here, making it a little bit janky. So these scientists called that tug Planet X, because they figured there was probably a planet there, they just couldn't find it. Come 1930, someone found it. His name was Clyde. And Clyde doomed a whole generation to learning 9 planets instead of 8, which is why we hate Clyde. Even though Pluto was demoted when I was just a wee little thing, so it doesn't really affect me, but that's beside the point. After Clyde found Pluto, they noticed it had a really janky orbit. Pluto's orbit makes Neptune look 20 years sober, and that's almost entirely Neptune's fault. Both Neptune and Pluto mess with each other's orbits, but Pluto is just so much smaller that it has a much bigger impact. Still, Pluto wins this one on technicality since, you know, it goes around the sun. Number 2, you gotta be a sphere. The reason for this one is because if you don't even have enough gravitational force to pull yourself into a sphere, you don't deserve to be let on the council of the solar system, at least not with the rank of planet. For example, this is one of Pluto's peers, Haumea. Similar in size, but it doesn't quite have enough gravity to, you know, be a circle. And here's the thing, Pluto is a circle, but it kind of cheated. Like, Pluto's not spherical because it's got this insane gravity. It doesn't. It's spherical because it's made up of super light stuff. The surface is pretty much just nitrogen, you know? It can get insanely cold without freezing, but Pluto is such an outcast that the hottest and brightest time of the day would look about the same as the first few minutes after sunset on Earth and still be cold enough to freeze liquid nitrogen and make it about as strong as regular H2O ice. But Pluto also has regular H2O, and because of the temperature, that H2O is about as hard as granite. And it makes up most of Pluto's mountains. Yes, these mountains are water. Also, you know how Earth's mantle is like molten rock lava stuff? Pluto's mantle is, you guessed it, water. Just regular old liquid H2O. And its core, it's just a big rock. No fancy stuff, just rock. So yeah, of course it can pull itself into a ball. It's literally just rock, water, and weird nitrogen ice, which compared to other planets is extremely light. However, it's technically still a ball, so it passes that mark. But this will be Pluto's final victory. Number 3, you gotta be a loner. What does that mean? Well, let's take a look at one of Pluto's moons, for example. Pluto has a moon called Charon. Charon is half the size of Pluto, meaning it pulls Pluto pretty hard. So Pluto's rotation doesn't spin like this, it spins like this. And Earth actually does this too, it's just not quite so drastic. But Pluto does it in a way that just brings a feeling of disappointment, as if Pluto and its own moon are almost equals. Like, that's just embarrassing. Alas, that's not actually Pluto's problem, since technically Charon is still a moon. Pluto's problem is the Kuiper Belt. This is the solar system's outer shell of asteroids and Pluto. No biggie, whatever. Until January 2005, a little planet called Ares showed up. Ares is the same size as Pluto, but guess what? It's way heavier. So if Pluto's a planet, Ares has to be a planet too. Okay, fine. So 10 planets. But then we found another, and another, and another. And odds are there are hundreds more in the Milky Way just waiting to be discovered, meaning hundreds of Pluto clones. So since Pluto's gravity isn't strong enough to either absorb all these guys in the Kuiper Belt or take them as moons, it can't be a planet. But don't be sad about that, because if Pluto was a planet, we'd have to memorize like 100 planets, and that would be an absolute mess for the poor elementary school kids. So in mourning of Pluto, just think of the kids and the inevitable sacrifice that needed to be made of this poor excuse for a planet. Anyway, this is the part that you pay me with the subscribe. Also, I'm gonna just turn this screen for you, so yeah.